This is Kuldrin's Krypt, episode 16, for May 15th, 2017.
Welcome. Welcome to my dungeon.
Welcome to Kuldrin's Krypt. I'm your host, Master Kuldrin. If you're new to the show, this is a place to dispel myths, get rid of stereotypes, and answer your questions about BDSM. You can call in at 865-268-4005 to leave your questions, or visit the Krypt at kuldrinskrypt.com. Joining us today in every episode hereafter is my new co-host, Funsize. Welcome to the show, Funsize.
Thank you.
Today we will be discussing online BDSM and relationships. Many newcomers to the lifestyle are part of the online scene, as well as several veterans these days. So, Funsize, you've got a whole lot more knowledge and experience in this than I do. So, I'm pretty much going to leave this one on you. What exactly is online play?
Well, online BDSM and play is a way for people to connect and learn safely and experience safely, sometimes more conveniently than in real life. It's setting up virtual scenes, and while some will use cameras or pictures, most of it's carried out in chat and instant messaging forums, sometimes even through texting.
Is it safer, more convenient? What's with that?
Well, for the newbies especially, it's safer because you can dip your toes into the water and learn and experience, often for the first time, a scene, but there aren't quite the risk that there are when you first meet a stranger in public. Or in private for that matter. But it doesn't mean that there aren't dangers or risk in online play. It just changes where they come from.
Okay. Like I said, my experience is pretty much null with this. I think I've done MView because a friend really pushed me to try it. It was interesting. I was on there for like a week, and then I haven't logged back in since. When you say there are risks, what kind of risks are you talking about?
Online, as with everywhere these days, there are predators. And with online play, especially in certain chat rooms, the risk of running into these predators can increase because some have been known to even stalk the online communities.
So predators is something that I've talked a lot about when I was still doing this solo. How would you classify somebody as an online predator? And it also, is that the same thing as a troll?
It's not the same thing as a troll. A troll will make a point to be rude and mean to everyone just for the sake of doing it. A predator is doing it because they want something specific for themselves. Online predators, they behave one or two ways when they start out. They will either start off very sweet, feigning feelings and emotions that progress very quickly, even unreasonably so, or they'll instantly ask you to partake in a scene, typically ignoring or not even bothering with limits or negotiation. They may pressure you into situations that you may not be comfortable with. Other behaviors they exhibit is asking for pictures, cams, FaceTimes, tasks to be carried out. Some even want your home or cell phone numbers or your email and password so that they can stalk you and control where you're going and what you're doing at all hours of the day.
Yeah, that's not going to happen with me.
Unfortunately, it's happened to me, and it's happened to others in the online community far too often, and it's something that we need to watch out for. So it's better if we know what we're looking for at this point. The other thing that predators will do is they react badly if you try to stop them. If you call them out, they use classic abusive tendencies, guilt, bullying, lying, even intimidation. They just want to focus on their own personal gains, and they're not like the fake or the Insta-doms in that sense, or even the Insta-subs, because they know what they're doing, and they just don't care. That's what makes them predatory.
So subs, you have an opinion that some subs could be predatorial or dangerous?
Oh, absolutely. Some subs, they say, oh, we're going to submit, we want this, but then they try to change it, or they try to make dominants look bad with their behaviors. When they're lying, they're using guilt, intimidation, all those same tactics that traditional predators would use. And they do have a type that they go after just like any other predator would.
Now, would you consider some of these people the ones that will just message me or, pop up and automatically swear their undying submission to me and in their life to me, or does it go a little bit further beyond that with what you're talking about? I mean, because that is something that I haven't consented to. So in the very literal translation of abuse, since I haven't consented to their submission, then they're violating my consent. It sounds like it goes a lot farther than that.
Oh, it does go a lot further than that. That can be the start of it. But where it goes further than that is they may try to guilt you. Oh, I had such a bad dom. Will you take care of me now? And you might go, oh, I'm such a nice guy. I want to care for people because I'm a caring dom. And you might start talking to them. Well, then they're calling you at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning every single day with some new problem. They keep saying they're going back to these abusive doms, when in fact there may not even be an abusive dom.
Wow. I didn't realize there was so much to look out for there. Because like I said, my online experience is pretty almost non-existent, other than some chat forums and, FetLife. Back to what you were saying about the convenience. How does it give us more of a convenient way to conduct ourselves or whatever the case is?
Well, it's a lot easier to meet people, for one thing. With the spread of the internet, the flow of communication has grown, and BDSM stepped out of its proverbial closet with it. So now there's thousands of people part of this community that we know about where we didn't before. You can meet someone online that's across town or halfway around the world, and they could be the perfect dom or sub or switch or whatever you're looking for. And you wouldn't have that before. It's really helped a lot in that sense, and it's helped with the knowledge that we can share with each other. You can spend months talking to someone online, just vetting a potential partner before ever coming face to face with them or ever even speaking on the phone with them if that's your choice. It can make it a lot safer in that sense. And of course, there's the ease created for those that have complicated day-to-day situations like marriage, children, personal personas, or even careers that keep us from living the lifestyle that we really want 24/7. It's a way that many of us can live and have our needs fulfilled when otherwise we really couldn't.
Do a lot of men participate in this as well? I mean, obviously there's going to be some, but does it seem, because men are more, I guess, physical and visual, and women, stereotypically, of course, the emotional side and that type of thing. Is that making sense? I mean, is it pretty much like participation both sides of the fence there?
Absolutely. There are tons of men out there who take advantage of this. Male submissives feel just as insecure with where their safety could be placed as women, and dominant men feel the same thing. And then you've got people that just can't, and it's men too. They have jobs, they have families, they have careers, they have people that look at them a certain way in their personal lives, and this allows them to experience what they really need without having to sacrifice any of that.
I might have to check back into this thing. So you said it may be months before they meet. They may talk for months and months and months, but you're implying there that their online play or relationship, whatever it may be, will carry over into the real world?
Not necessarily. For some people, they do online only, and they don't ever want to meet. They don't ever want to come face to face. For them, the virtual reality is enough. But for others, they find themselves in situations where they do want to meet. They do want to interact face to face. They just want to use the online as a way to get to know and connect with people before they meet. So it's really a personal decision.
Okay. So in this online play, what would that look like? Can you give, keeping in mind that we do try to keep this PG-13, can you give an example of what this online play, how would you conduct a scene there?
For example, if you and I were to set up a scene, we would start by negotiating hard and soft limits, just as we normally would. However, some of those might change from online to real life or vice versa. For example, I might say no cams for online, but in real life it might not matter, or it may be no shared videos. Anyway, most likely it's a scenario where you would say something like, go to my dungeon, and we could start a scene in that setting, and you could pick a plethora of toys that you may or may not even have at your disposal and then whip me with them. Or maybe you just ask me to kneel and behave submissively towards you. Sometimes these scenes develop into something sexual, but as with all BDSM, sex isn't always involved. In truth, a lot of online play is based on the mindset of those involved. It's all about communication and honest interaction.
So it is very similar to real world.
Yes.
So I understand you have an online relationship right now. What can you tell us about that?
I actually have an online dom currently and a couple of subs that I play with regularly. I'm collared by my dom, and I actually have a physical collar that I wear at home, and I wish I could wear it to work, but I'd be violating the dress code. We play and we have scenes once, maybe twice a week, but communicate outside of that every day, or at least every other day. I have the relationships I have right now because it's more convenient for me that way. I've had the 24/7 lifestyle before in real life, and it's wonderful. I really must emphasize that. It is a wonderful thing, but so is online. Because right now, as a newlywed and with everything else I have going on in my life, I couldn't handle it realistically. Online play for me is a way for my needs to be met and for me to have the balance in my life that I'd be lacking otherwise.
Now, you said a newlywed. Is he a member of the lifestyle as well?
Yes, he is a member of the lifestyle. He's actually a dominant who prefers the bratty subs, which is not me, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with that.
Now, if you don't mind giving a little more of yourself, and we may have discussed this when we first spoke, and for your interview, I don't recall, but do you have any submissive tendency toward him?
I don't actually. I seem to be the more dominant partner in our everyday relationship, but it works for us.
Okay. Oh, as long as it works,
Absolutely.
So where would somebody go to experience this online lifestyle? I know I mentioned MView and I know about Red Light Social, and those are like, now, actually, before you answer that, is this something that just happens typically through chat, or is this typically through characters or avatars that, I think I'm using that word correctly. I know it was a good movie, but again, limited experience online, don't make fun.
It's one of those things where it can be either or. It depends on the people and what they want to do and how they want to live it. And, that's true in both real life and online. It's all about people, individuals, and their individual choices. There's tons of ways people can experience a scene, and they can do it online, or they can even bring parts of it into their real life. And there's tasks that can be given and they carry out. There's also forms of self-love, thus keeping it PG-13 here. There's self-flagellation, but it's really one of those cases where the mind is mightier than the flesh. The virtual is their mind, and they decide how they want to carry that out.
So it sounds like there's also a lot of trust involved. And I think that's one of the things that in my very brief experiment that I did with it was, okay, is this person actually doing what I'm saying?
Well, you have to trust them, because if they're not carrying it out, they're not getting the experience to the fullest extent for them, or they may not be ready to make that step. So you have to trust them just as they have to trust you as a dominant. But that's really the heart of BDSM, trust. So
yeah,
it is what you make of it.
Oh, very true. I always say it's your BDSM. You make it what you want. Just keep it safe, sane, consensual, and informed. So back to where people would go for this online experience. Do you have any suggestions for that?
There's actually tons of places out there that cater to BDSM centralized chat. FetLife actually has a messaging service where you can send private messages back and forth. It's not the most convenient out there, but it is a good base. And, everyone says that FetLife is the Facebook of the BDSM world. We say it for a reason. There's also places like alt.com, but that's a paid community. And there's the website I run, the Order of Avalon. that has a chat room and messaging services. There are just tons and tons out there that you can go and find. If you just put in BDSM chat in Google, you will literally get about 300 different things that you can check out.
Yeah, I know. FetLife, I was looking at it the other day. They've got over 7 million users now. But the messaging system, I imagine that delay would kind of throw off a scene a little bit unless it's something that you're just really used to. And with the Order of Avalon, let me stress to you, the listeners, again, you really need to check out her community over there at order-of-avalon.com. That is a community that I am check on daily, just as I do FetLife, but I like it more than I do FetLife. The people there, I like that you guys are not interested in numbers and there's no advertising. No. It's about quality, not quantity. So it's amazing. And how much the administrators actually participate in the chat. Yeah. It's something that everybody really needs to get over there and check out. So you can pimp that on here as often as you like, because it's, well, as you know, it's kind of one of the reasons that you're here now.
Well, thank you.
So it is an amazing thing. It seems like a lot of this is kind of common sense with the online, offline comparison, but I think it's important to get it out there because there are some questions that a lot of the listeners will have, and I hope that they contact you directly. And your email address is?
Funsize@kuldrinscrypt.com.
All right. Do you have any other, I'm trying to think of some additional. How long have you been playing online?
I've been playing online probably off and on for 6 or 7 years now. Mm-hmm. Intermixed with my real life play. I've been keeping it to online only for the last, I want to say, just over a year now.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about it. So it's a topic that I'm really glad you had that you've got the information on. I will definitely point those questions in your direction from now on. So get ready for that.
Oh, please do. I look forward to helping whoever needs the help.
And again, I just want to welcome you to the Krypt. Thank you for coming on board with me. And, I'm sure the listeners are going to welcome you fondly as well.
Oh, I hope so.
All right. So that's going to wrap it up for Online Play 101. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to, again, contact Funsize, not me. That's funsize@kuldrinscrypt.com. Links to everything that you've heard will be in the show notes. And Funsize, I believe we're going to move forward with this topic next week. Is that correct? Go a little bit further with some things?
Yes, we're actually going to be discussing going from online to offline play.
All right. That's going to be interesting. So I can't wait to hear what you've got to say on that. Thanks again for joining the Krypt on behalf of myself and my listeners. And we really appreciate you.
Thank you.
And now those rules to love by. Rule number 1, safe, sane, consensual, and informed. Rule number 2, Kinky, KNKI, from the Kinky app, available on all platforms. That stands for knowledge, no intolerance, kindness, and integrity. And the quote from Mr. Paul Young, submission is not about authority and it's not about obedience. It is all about relationships of love and respect. Next week on the Krypt, Funsize is going to continue educating us about modern BDSM practices by discussing the ins and outs of taking that online relationship to a real-world setting. In the meantime, visit the Krypt at kuldrinscrypt.com to sign up for our mailing list so you never miss an episode, get subscribed to the podcast, and also help support the show through Patreon. And I would like to thank our one Patreon supporter thus far, the Accidental Trucker. Been in it since the beginning, and we do appreciate it. This has been Master Kuldrin and Funsize for kuldrinscrypt.com. Unearth the truth.